they might come into it and not be overly confident. They might come into it and be really nervous, like you see them on their first show and their hands are shaking and stuff, and you can hear it in their voice. But they just develop. The more and more shows they do, the better and better they get. And that's not just on the radio, it's in their day-to-day life. They're an awful lot more confident about things they do, and their personality comes out on radio.
There are over 50 student radio stations in the country, spanning from the very north of Scotland in Inverness to Plymouth in the southwest. Student radio is a dynamic form of media which is available for students. Unlike print media, studio radio can report on the latest developments that matter to students almost instantly. Many stations are broadcast across campuses in various retail outlets and online. All of the students are volunteers and often use student radio to broaden their own personal skill set and gain experience for their future careers.
I've always been this kind of generally, not in your face, but kind of awkwardly silly person, you know? I think as I've gone through uni and being part of the radio, it has helped as well, because now I have a license to be silly on air and no one's really stopping me. It's kind of great.
We are your student radio station. We are D1.
Like at first I felt like maybe I'm not confident enough to do an on-air part, maybe to do an off-air position, but then afterwards I found out a mate of mine decided to join D1, and she asked if we wanted to do a show together, and I said yes to it, and that's how it went, really. Like, because I first remember when I first joined uni, the same when I went sixth, when I first joined both, like when I was like really timid. And I'd noticed like over the course of the first year and part of my second year, I've noticed I've really upped in confidence, where in my second year I'm now trying a lot more daring things, like I'm applying for a lot more jobs now and stuff like that, and I'm now trying to even apply for committee positions on different societies and stuff as well.
After working his way up from being a newsreader in his first year of university, Rob Lilley is now station manager at Fly FM in Nottingham.
When I first came to uni, I was really scared of even just coming to uni. I was like, ooh, because I'm from literally the smallest village in the world. It's like my house and another house and that's it. So the move to a city like Nottingham was scary enough. So then I was therefore automatically shy about meeting new people. And then the freshest fair I was like, oh, well, I'll go to the Fly store, I don't really know what it's about. And I was like, okay, I'll go to the welcome meeting. I probably won't get anything, but I'll go to the welcome meeting. And then news, I remember my first news read, I was so scared because the presenter was a third year, and I was like, oh, he's big and scary, he knows what he's doing, I've got no idea what I'm doing. And then just from that, it just developed, and I was just impressed with myself almost as to the things that I kept finding myself doing.
Last year, Tom Watts and Claire Chambers were hosting shows on Fly FM. Now they are weekday drive time presenters on Capital East Midlands.
I think we're still kind of catching up with ourselves a little bit as well. Well, I am, because I went from doing student radio and I remember thinking this time last year, wonder what I'll be doing next year, and did not think at all I'd be doing this. And then went to weekends, which was really, really fun, and then drive was like a massive surprise and a brilliant surprise. Yeah. And so we've been here on drive for about a month now, and yeah, it's still pretty cool that we get to do this every day. This is our job now.
Definitely. I mean, for me, like, and I think for you as well, it's just been sort of like wow after wow after wow. So I started doing weekends just before starting my final year, and like in my head, I sort of started taking student radio a little bit more seriously and sort of going, let's see what happens. I really like this. Let's see if I can make something out of it. And then when Dick offered weekends, my sort of little target in my head, maybe this was before third year, was it'd be quite nice if I could have like covered a weekend show at the end of third year. Maybe that would be quite fun. And then like to be put on weekends. And then it's just after that, it's just been another thing after another thing after another thing. But I don't want it to seem like just like, oh wow, flipping out, this has happened, because we have, like, not to blow our own trumpet, but we have like worked hard, haven't we?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
It's not just been like, oh, this is fun.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks very much for help, you know? Thanks very much for that. Like, it takes a lot of hard work, and you've got to be committed. And
yeah.
I have probably put in too much time at some points, and like sort of social life has sort of like suffered. But yeah, I think that's the thing. It's like hard work, and someone said to me, you've got to put yourself in the right place for the right time to come along.
Yeah.
So it's not just sort of about wandering around doing like whatever,
Yeah.
saying, oh, something will happen so like soon. You've got to meet the right people, but that's down to you. You've got to get the experience, and that's down to you as well.
It's mad to think that this time last year, when Tom was doing bits of stuff at Capital but nothing major, and they were just presenting. Claire did her Friday night show and Tom did his Wednesday afternoon show, and in that horrible pokey cupboard in Elsham Road, and now, they're doing Capital and doing so well with it. But I think that gives a lot of people a lot of confidence. Like Tom and Claire aren't the only ones from flying. David Cameron Walker's now at TalkSport, and he's just one of a long list of people. So I think it's nice to have people who you can see and look at who have been in the position that you are and are succeeding, because you can look at them and use them as inspiration to just keep improving and keep getting better.
Sort of the fact that people from who are students as well doing this sort of thing, it's like now they've got a job out of it sort of thing. They've got a job out of doing what they love. So it's sort of good to look at as well.
Because I think quite often, a lot of student stations, it is mostly media courses that do it. But if you don't do that media course, it might take you a bit longer to pick up how to edit or pick up how to do the desk because you've not had a bit of training from elsewhere. But you've got other knowledge that other people don't have, about a different subject area, that you can add to a show, because it's about on-air content as well, and that's, you can bring something else in, because you probably might not be in the same sort of social group if you're not doing the same course. That's other ideas and content that you can bring in to a show. It's not all about being able to edit the fastest and do all that. It's about learning. That's what student radio is about.
Live, it's a lot of fun because you have to consider what you're saying and what you're doing and levels, and then you've got to put in jingles and beds and make sure everything's timed out right. And it's a load of fun, and I like developing that side of myself as well. So it's definitely fun. And always playing a track, doing things within the radio, learning how to bounce off of each other is always good as well. So if you're coming into radio, find some people that you can bounce off of, because that's always works as well. Because it's kind of funny, I do a law course, but I came into radio. But as I said before, I'd have interest in audio or whatever. But so I don't necessarily get a chance to use audio mixing skills in a law class. Those two don't generally seem to mix. I definitely thought it would help with kind of public speaking almost. Because in being a lawyer, you're going to need to be able to stand in front of courts and blah, 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 and blah. And I think being on the radio, getting words out and make sure they're formed properly rather than just going blah, 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 every time he wants to say a word is always good. So yeah, I think I'm also a generally charismatic person, so I think that's also helped build that as well. So yeah.
The Student Radio Awards 2012, supported by BBC Radio 1 and Global Radio.
Each year, the Student Radio Awards are held at London's O2 Arena. Students are given the opportunity to enter these prestigious awards so that the industry can hear the talent that is on offer across student radio stations. The awards are often attended by well-known radio professionals such as Greg James and Nick Grimshaw from BBC Radio 1.
If you don't enter, you've got no chance, and it just puts your name out there, so even if you don't win, you don't know who's going to listen to it, and that gives you a chance then, because if you don't enter, you just put, even if you think that you've got no chance at all, because quite often when I've entered these things, it has turned out alright so far, just enter, and then I can't stress that enough.
Yeah, definitely. And it's also, as you say, it's not about just winning, because with the Student Radio Awards, you get feedback on your entry. If you get nominated, as Claire says, your name is out there, and then you can sort of, off the back of that, approach different people, whether it be on email or whatever, to get more feedback. And that's the key thing. It's not about sort of winning them. Obviously, it's great if you win them, because that's people will sort of know who you are and that sort of thing, and that helps a lot with networking. But you can, off the back of even entering, you can make contact with people to get feedback and sort of to progress. It's not all about winning, definitely not.
I think one of the benefits to joining the student radio station is, of course, the chance to get your stuff heard on the radio, because if you're good and you can put stuff together, then it's a chance for you to actually go far. Because as much as everyone says, and we all know that it's a very difficult industry to get into, but if you're good enough and people know that you're good enough, and as I said before, if you put yourself out there and make sure your name's out there, then that's fantastic.
Obviously, we want to help out with the SRA Lays and any student station, because that's where we came from, and we know how hard it can be to get in and get your foot in the door. So it just helps, if you've got someone else on your side, which we want to be, to get someone else in there. And it's so much fun. Student radio is so much fun. The awards night proves that. Everyone had such a good time, Yeah, like we don't want to overleave that.
No, definitely not. Yeah, I think we'd hope to sort of go back to conferences, and even if it's not the talk, just to sort of meet people and that sort of thing.
Hang out.
Yeah, exactly.
Become such students.
Yeah.